didn't he write The Great Gatsby over and over and over again just to get a sense of the rhythm of the words? When he was learning how to write, I believe he did that.
But I think he also did the Book of Revelations, didn't he?
Whoa.
Yeah, which I thought was amazing. Because you can really sense that in his writing, this kind of apocalyptic madness. I'm sure I read a similar thing about, I don't know if he rewrote the Revelations or whether he used to read it over and over again, but I'm sure I remember reading that about Hunter Thompson.
I believe that, for sure. Yeah. Typed out The Great Gatsby and Farewell to Arms, word for word. A method for learning how to write like the masters.
Incredible.
Wow, that's someone dedicated.
That's commitment. Yeah,
that's dedicated to it. He's another guy. It's like, man, if you just like drank half as much, you'd probably still be around.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have met him.
He's just amazing on this. Yeah.
At the end, though, man, fuck. I remember he did an episode of Conan O'Brien, and you couldn't understand a word he was saying.
Yeah.
And it's so sad. It's like when you watch an old boxer and they can't talk anymore. Yeah. It's kind of a similar feeling. Because, like, in the early days, like when he was running for sheriff of Pickens County in Colorado, in Aspen, I mean, he was on fire. He was amazing. He was like at the height of his verbal skill. He was young and vibrant. And then to see him at the end where he could barely, you couldn't understand what he was saying. It was like everything was a slur. It was all like this weird, like he had a bunch of health problems, hip replacements. It was before he killed himself, but not much before.
Yeah, and the suicide tragically almost becomes predictable in a way because again, it's that he had this status, he was this incredible brain, and he knows that he's down here now, and that's intolerable for somebody like that to live with. That's the tragedy of that.
Yeah, you got to manage the biology, kids.
Yeah.
You got to manage your biology.
Yeah, and you've got to manage the decline. I mean, I think when you've got as high as, status-wise as he has, it's that level of genius, and then you've hit that decline. It's a dangerous place to be.
It's also, it has to be just tied to the alcohol because the mind is still the same mind. Like when 9/11 happened, he still wrote a brilliant piece about 9/11. Did you ever see that?
No, I
Johnny
didn't.
Depp narrated it in the movie, and it was fucking great. He narrated a couple of these Hunter pieces in the movie, and one of them was like how the 60s. See if you can find that, Jamie. When Johnny Depp does this Hunter S. Thompson, he narrates this story about the wave pulling back. It's the wave of culture, and it's so eloquently, brilliantly written. And it's about the hope that he had in the 1960s, and how the 1970s came and it all pulled back.
Oh yeah,
it's a brilliant piece. Wow. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
and this is it.
Strange memories on this nerve.
Wow.
Not beautiful.
Yeah. It was
and so accurate.
Yeah.
And, when we think about the way our world changed 4 years ago, I mean, it's kind of similar in a way, like the whole, like, what the fuck happened? 4 years later, you're like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
And I think with us, though, there's hope that we'll eventually get to some place of normalcy and some semblance of peace. But what happened in the 1960s is fucking bananas.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically turned this counterculture hippie love movement into Charles Manson and the Manson family, and the fucking CIA was dosing people with LSD, and they were doing anything they can to stop the anti-war movement, anything they can to stop these hippies, and made everything illegal. They made marijuana. Well, marijuana was already illegal, but all the Schedule I substances. It's all the sweeping part of the 1970 Psychedelic Act that was all about the civil rights movement. It was all about just arresting people for any kind of protests, any anti-government, anti-war. Let's find these hippies. Everything's illegal. Fuck you. Go to jail. And they put water on it. They just put the fire out.
Wow, I didn't know that.
They put the fire out on this psychedelic counterculture that was the 1960s. And we paid for it artistically. If you look at the 1980s, it's a fucking disaster. Well, what happened in the 1980s? It's like these people, all they had was cocaine. They're just doing cocaine and alcohol, and the movies are out of control.